Cheater ex-wife made false TV claims because I wanted to change our child's drop-off schedule. It was Labor Day weekend in 2021. My then-wife was in DX for training in the Air Force we both were in. We lived in Ohio at the time. During her training, she would call the kids 7 and 3 at the time and me every day and stay on the phone for a long time just talking about anything. Then suddenly she started talking less and less. Still daily, but only 2 minutes if that. She would say that she had to study for tests. Then she started missing days completely. After the third time, I called her later and asked WTH was going on. She was utterly wasted, extremely drunk on the phone. I got mad and hung up. The next day, she says she needs space. Like I'm the bad guy here? We barely talked for 2 weeks after that. To backtrack a bit. We married when I was 25. She was 23. Dating for 4 years before that. When we were dating, she went to visit her friend in CA. Her friend married a Marine and moved there. Well, during that time, she was also going to meet a guy she had never met. Someone her friend wanted to set her up with. So for the entire 2 weeks, she was cheating on me. So we broke up for about a year. I connected back with her again, and we got back together. About 2 years later, I got married. During our marriage, she completely changed. She denied me intimacy and affection. When she rejected me, I would naturally get upset. I would say mean things to remind her of what she did because I knew it would hurt her. Fast forward, we had 2 children. Our marriage went on with hardly any intimacy or affection from her. I would ask her to kiss me. After our second child, we were pretty much roommates. I was extremely depressed, and it was difficult to get out of bed and do anything. I realized I wasn't the father I wanted to be, not the husband, and sought mental health. So back to the time after we started to stop talking after our argument. I thought the spark had been missing in our relationship, and I blamed myself for my depression and anxiety. So I got a babysitter for the long weekend. She had mentioned that she wanted to get away and go camping by herself. So I took it as an opportunity to surprise her so we could spend the weekend alone, just trying to get our love back to what it marriage. I went to her hotel on base and talked to the hotel staff beforehand to let them know I wanted to surprise her. They were okay with it after I showed proof of who I was. I got an extra keycard, went into her room before she returned from training, and was going to surprise her when she came in. When I got into her room, I saw a large box of condoms on her nightstand, many empty alcohol bottles in the trash, and her counters. I also saw her wedding ring in her bathroom on the counter as if the ring was stored there. I was devastated and in shock at what I saw. I hid in the closet, and when she arrived, I jumped out and said surprise. I just was still in disbelief that this was happening. Her response was, "You're not supposed to be here." Then she locked herself in the bathroom. She texted a school friend, a girl, to come. The friend rushed to her room as if it seemed like I was hurting her. To be clear, I had never raised a hand or even got close to it. Her friend left, and she came out of the bathroom. I demanded an explanation. All she could say was, "I'm sorry." It wasn't in an apologetic way, more of an "I'm sorry you had to find out this way." I left immediately, took a car to the airport, and bought the first ticket home. I could only do the bare minimum for my kids the entire weekend because I was crushed. Monday rolled around, I called, and she said she wanted a divorce. I was just in disbelief and agreed without a discussion. The only thing I could manage to get out was, "I'm taking the kids and moving back home." I was medically retiring from the military before she would return from training. Her response was, "Okay, can you take the dogs too?" After we split and I moved back, I did some digging. I checked our bank account and saw thousands of dollars at bars and other places being spent by her during the time she was in training while telling us she was studying. I also checked the phone records. I couldn't see the messages, but I could see one number that kept coming up all day, every day, back and forth. That ended up being the guy she was cheating on me with, no surprise. We finalized our divorce in February of this year without fighting. Since then, she has skipped her time with her kids twice to go on mini vacations with this guy. He lives in DC 7 hours away from her. We live in MO 6 hours from her. In our divorce agreement, she can come to see the kids whenever she wants during the week if she clears it with me first. She just did that for the first time 2 weeks ago. Since February, that is the only time she has done that. When she calls the kids, and they see she is in the car or at a place they don't recognize, they ask her where she is. She admits she is with her new BF. She drives or flies to see him instead of the kids. Last Thursday, she called me and said she messed up, missed the kids and me, and wanted to get back together. I tell her that she has to agree to go through her therapy and marriage counseling. It sounded like things were going to get better. 2 days later, she sent me a message telling me that she wasn't going to do any of that. This guy makes her so happy, And she is now engaged to this guy. My life was crushed again. The entire year I have constantly been crying and lying in bed. Thank God for my family because I couldn't do this without them. I just feel so worthless. I can't connect with anyone I try and date because I am numb now and have commitment issues. I can't find a job, and I bought a house that I now have tapped into my savings to start paying for. I constantly have morbid thoughts of being better off dead. Then I hate myself more for thinking that because I have two amazing kids to care for. I feel like nothing can go right, and I'm going to lose my kids, my house, and eventually myself. I have been talking to a therapist, but I don't know if I feel any different. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm not sure what I'm looking for here, but I thought maybe if I got my story out there, it would have some kind of relief. Update 1 6 months later I tried very hard to resist. I did. In January of this year, she messaged me asking to get back together. She and the other guy broke up. She called the kids and apologized for not being the mom they needed and spending all her free time with the other guy. She also told them we were getting back together without me saying we were. I told her that she needed to seek therapy and many other things. This is the third time she has done this. She even reached out to my family and apologized to them. The kids and I were going to Slick City the following weekend, and they asked her to come. I am trying to remember if she had said she would or not. Friday rolls around, and she tells them she isn't feeling well and won't be coming in. They are okay with it. When we arrived in the parking lot on Saturday, the kids wanted to call her again. We all video chat her, and she is totally fine. She was walking into a restaurant all dressed up. In the background, we hear the other guy's voice. We all were pissed off, and my oldest hung up on her. 2, maybe 3 weeks later, she calls, crying and apologizing. She is asking for me back again. Is the fourth time a charm? She explains she broke up with him again because he is so controlling. She tells me that he has all her passwords and a key to her house, they joined bank accounts, and she is deep in debt because he has maxed out her credit card after he maxed 2 of his. She said he told her he was flying to see her and that she better be there to pick him up, or he was Ubering to her house. I told her to change her locks and stay at a friend's house. Later, she calls, says she got the locks changed, and is driving to her parents' house 6 hours away, in the same town I live in. She asks if she can have lunch with me the next day. I stupidly agree. I then let her have dinner with the kids and me that night. Then I let her stay the night. No intercourse, though. I felt like everything was going great. It seemed like we were a happy family again. She leaves Sunday, then drives back Wednesday for her weekend. She stays over again. I know, I can see all the frustration brewing. Things were not going great this time. She seemed very distant. Her communication was not as sweet as the previous weekend, and she barely said anything. She kept asking me if I thought we could do this. I was getting frustrated because I could see that she was pulling away. I told her this road would be extremely long and filled with counseling and therapy. I told her we needed not to spend overnights together either and letting the kids see us together so much making them think everything was fine. She ghosted me all day Friday, then finally called crying and said she didn't want to try to work things out. I asked her if she was going back to the other guy. Her tears immediately went away, and she became furious, saying that he was much better than me in every way and that she never wanted to see or speak to me again. It was such a quick and odd behavior change when I calmly asked her a question. It was such a bizarre lash out and choice of words too. My son comes home with a new phone from her, and I see she has a new phone number. It looks like she is also onto the other guy's phone plan. I bet there is something on the phone so he has more control over her. I don't know why I do this to myself. More importantly, I don't know why I put my kids through it. I am still seeing my therapist and told him about it. I thought I was getting better but was sucked right back into the circus. A few weeks after, I saw my next-door neighbor on a dating app. I jokingly swiped, and we matched immediately, to my surprise. I told her that I was shocked and wasn't serious about matching. She made it very clear that she was interested in me. She is gorgeous and has always been pleasant to my kids and me. We started dating. I made her fully aware of everything I had been through. She was okay with it but, of course, worried about me going back again. I am too. I'm confident to say no the next time the ex asks to get back together. This new girl is great and highly understanding. She is very interested in wanting to know everything I'm into and trying them if she is not. She hasn't been trying to push me fast into something, either. I mentioned that she was already great with my kids before we were dating, but I was not ready to let them see us in a different way than just being neighbors. I told them about a month or more later, and they thought it was an excellent idea. My time with her is helping me become a better version of myself. I'm starting to care about how I look more, completing DIY projects around the house, and, Most importantly, playing with my kids more. Edit: I am fully aware of how this makes me look like I am falling for the same BS again. I am seeing a therapist about it and trying to regain my confidence and self-worth. Edit 2: She went away for training in June 2021, I caught her in September 2021 and we were separated then. Divorce was February 2022. Edit 3: We use a co-parenting app to communicate. All other communication is blocked. Final update: ex-wife made a false TV allegation and didn't show up for the court date. Can I counter this? I have primary custody of my kids. My ex, who lives 7 hours away, tried to take custody by making a false domestic violence allegation against me. Just to be clear, I have never threatened any violence or have been physically violent with her. She is salary, and I am an hourly worker. She knows I would have to take work off to deal with this. I hired a lawyer. My lawyer showed up to court. I was virtual due to living so far away. The ex didn't show up. Then the case was dismissed. This was all in retaliation to my filing a motion to change our agreement for drop-off times because of my work schedule.